Welcome back to Daybreak. It is 7:19. A question we're asking parents this morning: do you treat the boys differently from the girls in your family?
The survey says most of you do, even though you think it's wrong. The poll by NetMum says mums are twice as likely to be critical of their daughters than their sons. Talked to Rachel Johnson, editor of The Lady, and the sister of London Mayor Boris, and the child psychologist Linda Papadopoulos. Rachel, so you've got two boys and a girl?
Yeah, and they're all teenagers.
Yes. And who have you treated more kindly? Who do you love most?
I love them all equally, of course, yeah. Adrian. But I think I expect my daughter to be slightly more house-trained. And I mean, I think there's a sort of mummy gene that means you sort of pick up after your boys. It's awful, and I think we're breeding the next generation of slobs. But I think mothers listening will recognise there's a sort of urge. I watched one mother of a 17-year-old put a bowl, pour some Rice Krispies, then pour on the milk, then put on the sugar, and I was literally waiting for her to spoon the Rice Krispies into his mouth, this great big hulk. I mean, and I sort of understood where that was coming from.
What do you think, Linda? I mean, you've got one daughter, don't you?
So as an only child, I do spoon feeds now. She's 7. Right? Look, I do think we did. I think you're right. I think we're socialised into doing it. I think there's a couple of reasons for this. I think as women, we live with many more sort of shoulds and have tos, whether it's about how we should look or how we should behave, and I think we project those onto our girls a lot more. I also think with boys, we kind of have this idea of, you know, boys will be boys, so we kind of make more allowances, even with adult men. If you kind of look at things, we make many more allowances if they, you know, even when it comes to anything from violence to even to white-collar crime, there's this sense that, well, they're men, they'll do that. So I think as a consequence, the way that we behave to them, it very much reflects that as kids.
But do you think we as mothers are conditioning them into being like
Well, of course. I mean, the best way to kind of ruin someone's confidence is to tell them they can't do something for themselves. So, you know, if you know, whether that's pouring Rice Krispies or saying you can't clean up after yourself, the best way to instill confidence is to say, actually, you have the skills, you know, whether you have a Y chromosome or not, whether you're a girl or a boy.
Were you and your brother brought up differently? Because, I mean, here you are, look, immaculate, if you don't mind me saying, Rachel, and your brother's the opposite of immaculate, isn't it?
No, you are seeing me airbrushed and
no, but you take my point, though. You look like radically different people.
Well, no, to be honest, Adrian, we were brought up very equally, and I was sent to an all-boys school, and I was the only girl. There he is.
Yeah.
And, oh, sorry, I've lost my thread now. I played rugby and all the rest of it. But when I got to puberty, there was this moment when I was living with my mum, and she suddenly said, darling, I'll pay you 50p if you iron the boys' shirts. And she didn't ask the boys to iron their own shirts, but I was asked. And I remember sort of sitting there with the iron and thinking, there's something wrong here. And I think that's when I was treated slightly differently, but that's about the only example I can think of.
And I think that's the worrying thing. I think from a kind of more serious point of view of how we kind of, of equality. You know, obviously there's differences in boys and girls, but, you know, a girl should never feel that it's her role to do something like that. You know, as a boy should never feel the expectation that, you know, someone should do it for him. And I think this is where mothers need to step back and take a good look at how they're
Well, I did call her on it, but I mean, I don't think she was asking them to do it. And I'd certainly never ask my daughter to ask my son to iron my son's shirts. She'd scream at me. I'd have something thrown at my head.
Well, it's getting you talking this morning. We've loads of emails about this, actually. Paula Watts has written in to say, I have 3 boys and 1 girl. I have to say my boys are much easier than my daughter, but she stresses about trying to love them all equally, which is kind of understandable, isn't it, I suppose? So, yes, thank you for that, Paula.
Thanks very much for joining us. By the way, I've read with interest a review of your book about your first year as editor of The Lady. I would have thought that'd be quite a boring read. Then I started reading it and thought, oh my God, it's not. Turbulent time. Could even make a soap opera out of it.
He's a charmer, Rachel, isn't he?
I spent 20 years on national newspapers and nothing much happened. And then I went to The Lady and a bomb went off every day, I promise you. All right,
fantastic. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you again, Linda. We've got some breaking sports news. Liverpool fans, listen up.